Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Unkindness Brothers podcast. I'm your host, Matt Lytle, with my guy,
Pablo Escobar. Chris. Chris Caleb.
Chris Califf. Hi Califf, how are you?
Doing well, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. You know why? Because it's another episode deep diving into some of the most infamous true crime stories.
Let's do it, man. I'm really excited to see what you brought this week.
So this week we are talking about The Watcher. A lot of you guys probably know about this story. There was a Netflix series a couple years ago, but I'm going to tell you right now, don't think of the Netflix series because so many of those facts are not actual facts in the show. So throw that out, listen to this, and get actual facts and professional opinions, if you will.
I mean, you can't go wrong there.
Okay, you're being quiet. You toot your own horn a little bit there.
Well, I mean, to be honest, man, like this is a case I know not much about, so I'm actually really excited to see what you brought to the table, see the facts, and kind of see what we're going to be dealing with this week.
Well, and what I love about this story, and there's one word one word to describe this case, and it's haunting. And there's no pun intended. We are paranormal investigators. We were on the Travel Channel for a show called Ghost Loop, but this isn't about ghosts. This isn't about an actual ghost haunting. It is just the story gives that vibe. It's so hard to explain until I actually explain it. So you ready to go, dude?
Oh man, I am pumped on this one.
Yeah, I'm ready. I love how you know nothing about it. Like I love
gotta
that.
say, walking into like this, like it's weird for me because typically I have some idea. I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing on this one.
Great. Well, you're going to be a very important part of this because we are going to, well, you know what? Let's just get into it. The overview of the story is very short because we're going to get into a lot of details. But again, we cannot get into those details because I don't want to spoil anything from you because I want true, authentic answers and opinions from you. Because that's why you're so great, dude. You look at things in such a different angle in a professional way that even I don't think of, and I'm just excited. So let me get going. This house that this family moved into was a normal house, right? It's this house in Westfield, New Jersey, which is ranked the 30th safest town in America. That is a very important stat right there. Okay. So this house, I'm going to read it because I don't know a whole lot about house and the styles of houses. So I wrote it down. It is a Dutch colonial revival style house. It's got 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 4 fireplaces, which is interesting, 2 porches. It is 3,869 square feet. I bet I got that wrong. It is 3,869 square feet. I study my notes, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the house. So that paints the picture of the house. There's nothing, it's not a big Victorian haunted house on a hill. You know, it's not a castle. It's not any of that. It's just kind of like a normal big house, right? And you've already heard the town was very, very safe. So getting into who owned the house, which is going to be very important too. And then we'll get into the nitty gritty part of the true crime story. So again, I have written down the owners. The house was built in 1905. So everybody imagine this house, right? 1905 is when it was built. The first person to live in the house was William H. Davies, who was the mayor of the city. He lived in the 1930s. He lived there from 1913 to 1947. Then he sold the house to his son. And back then, Caliph, it says, I've seen a couple videos of these podcasters or whatever say, oh, he sold it to his son for $1. And then the son sold it to somebody for $1. And I'm like, it's not $1. They just didn't have records of how much it was sold for. So the $1 is not accurate.
Not entirely true.
Okay, well then talk.
The idea being that even if you sell something for $1, the idea is taxes. Okay. So when you sell something, you pay taxes on what the purchase price is. So when you buy a motorcycle for X amount of money and you pay for it outright, the tax is based on the total amount. So if you sell something for $1, the inheritance tax or whatever, property tax there is for that particular structure is significantly reduced. So that way you can just pass the house on from father to son, so forth, so on.
There you go. And that is why we have you. So moving on. So after he sold the house to his son, who lived there from 1947 to 1951, it was to Dillard and Mary Bird from 1951 to 1955. And you know what? I'm just going to fast forward because there was a couple more owners before the very important couple that moved in 1963 to 1990. The Bakes family sold it to John and Andrea Woods. John and Andrea Woods owned the house from 90 to 2014. This is where the true crime story starts. They ended up selling it to the Broadus family. Now, the Broadus family is from the area, and the wife, Maria, her childhood home was actually right down the block from this house. So this particular house, 657 Boulevard, you're going to hear me say that a lot. 657 Boulevard was her dream house since she was a child. And they finally were able to purchase it in June of 2014 from the Woods family. Day after they purchased this house, they got a letter in the mail. This letter was anonymous. This was letter 1 of 4 from the Watcher, from a unsolved case. Anonymous letters that were nice, but a little too detailed, to threatening by letter 4. What we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is read these letters, and I am going to have Caliph react, not emotionally just how creepy they are, but kind of exactly why and who and what's the motivation to these particular letters. The Woods family, the reason they're so important is because before we get into letter 1, they got a letter from this Watcher as soon as they sold the house. But instead of reading the letter and doing something about it, they tossed it in the trash can because they thought it was a prank. You know, they didn't know who it was. They got it and were like, okay, whatever. We just sold the house. I don't know. I'm gonna throw it away. And unfortunately, I did my search. And if any of you guys in the comments have what that letter said, please write it down, because I could not find it anywhere, unfortunately. I would love to start off this whole letter reading with that letter, but unfortunately I can't. So the Woods got a letter, they threw it away, and that's actually going to be important for the future of this whole case. So let's get into letter 1, shall we? So first letter, this was June 13th, 2014. So Derek, the father of the family, went out to the mailbox and already had a couple bills, and then he found this letter. Letter reads, and I quote, "Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched the house in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out. Do you need to fill the house with young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it greed to bring me your family, your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me. There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I'm in one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I'm in one. Look out any of the main windows in 657 Boulevard at all the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I am one. Welcome, my friends. Welcome. Let the party begin." End quote. I mean,
Yeah, so it started off with like a kind of paranormal flair, the house of second coming and all that stuff.
mhm.
Like that was pretty cool. Like if I got a letter like that, I'd be like, this is going to be some Ghostbusters 2 weird shit. Like that's awesome. But then he had to go and bring in the kids.
Pretty much right away.
You had to bring me fresh blood for the kids from the
Young
kids.
blood. No. It's
young
actually young blood. Mm-hmm.
So that's some pedo stuff. Most definitely. I mean,
so that's where your head goes.
my head goes to this. My head goes to this. Like if I got that letter with my background and the things I've done, and for those who don't know, I've had an extensive career that was adjacent to law enforcement. And in that, several trainings and several things that I've been able to do in my life. One of which, the biggest piece is research, right? Investigation, and investigation on the level of working with law enforcement. So a letter like that, to me, would be something I'd shrug off, right? If I got that in my mailbox, I'd be a little bit concerned because my kids were brought up in that whole particular piece of things. But the continuous reference to the address, the not real, the pieces of description not being too great. I mean, any house has plenty of windows. Any house has plenty of cross traffic. These things wouldn't really concern me because they're not giving me any details outside of the fact that somebody by chance might have seen my family in this building, right? They're giving me nothing to say they know what the inside of the structure looks like. And they're giving me nothing but a letter that goes from paranormal to pedophile to back to paranormal. So to me, it seems kind of like something I shrug off as somebody just like, I think it was one of my buddies. I think it was you. Like, I'd be like, Matt, really? Like, why are you sending me weird letters, dude? Like, you send me weird texts all the time.
And it would be something I would do.
Yeah, it's in your wheelhouse. Sure. It's definitely in your wheelhouse. But yeah, for me, getting that letter, like, a little bit uncomfortable because of the mention of the kids, but I'm not going to take too much or put too much stock in something like that. I'm going to say this is somebody that's just being a jerk.
Yeah. You know what's funny you say that? What did I mention about the Woods, the family who sold the house to the Broaddus family? They said the same thing. We don't know what's in that letter, but they literally said we thought it was a prank, crumbled it up and threw it away. Right. So what you just said is kind of like what they were thinking. And for me, reading this, I haven't looked at it like you have, where they just don't give enough detail of what's inside the house. You're right. Like, everything they said was like, well, this could be any house. This could be any cross street. This, they mentioned the address a lot. Okay, the address is on the mailbox. You know what I mean? Like,
the whole statement of it's very broad. Oh, this is the house of second coming, but I'm not going to give you anything more. Right? What did the last line say? Let the party begin. Like,
yeah, welcome, my friends. Welcome. Let the party begin.
And like, you look at the verbiage of something like that. A 60-year-old man's not going to write something like that. So
really?
this is kind of. I mean, when you look at the idea of language and how it's presented and things like that, that's not something you're going to see from somebody who's older generation, right? Wow. That's not a line that's going to be fluid with them. They're going to say something probably a little bit more, old timey, if you will.
Right.
So to me, you're dealing with somebody who is probably in the age range of these people that bought the house. And to me, it sounds like somebody bitter that they bought the house and that this watcher or this person who wrote the letter didn't get the house. It's a scare tactic, right? Like, oh, be afraid to get out of this house so then I can buy the house. So it just seems kind of like somebody who lost the bidding war, who kind of wants to be, a little bit of a scummy kind of, D-bag.
Wow. Okay. And again, I want to mention to everyone listening and watching this that Caliph does not know anything about suspects. I held that on purpose, so this right now could be more of a legitimate and authentic reaction from a professional like Caliph.
Well, you think about it like this, right? Like, you want to compare what kind of Matt's been doing with this particular story. It's like a psychic walking into a house, right? Like, a psychic walks into a house, they have little to no information about the case or what's going on.
A haunted
house. A haunted house. And that way they can go in and kind of read the energy and read the room and get kind of a psychic imprint of what's happening. Matt's kind of putting my background to the test with this stuff. Not knowing anything about the case. So that way, when I present kind of where I'm at, like Matt said, it's authentic, it's legitimate, and it's exactly how I would be looking at this case if I was the lead, detective or officer on scene.
Right. Okay. So that's the first letter. And let me go ahead and tell you exactly what happened after the first letter. So, like I said, Derek Broaddus, the father of the family, Maria Broaddus is the mother, right? And they have 3 children. So that is correct. They did have 3 children. So that letter, I see you brought me young blood. That's accurate. They do have 3 kids, and they're all 10 and under.
But he didn't mention the number of kids. Like, that's the thing.
He did not. Right. He did not.
Most families that buy a big house have kids. Again, it's an assumption. If he would have said, you brought me 3 young kids, that shows me that somebody's legitimately paying attention. That's a specific. I mean, you have to look at it, right? That's a specific claim. Right. Saying that there's a bunch of windows here. If the claim was, okay, there's 46 windows in this house, I'm in one. Right? You have 3 young kids that look like they're ranging from this age. Those are specific taunts. That's the taunt of somebody who's actually paying attention to what's happening. Everything that was presented in this letter to me is just vague. Vague from somebody who just walks by and says, oh, look at the windows, or, okay, there's a new family. It's not that hard to assume new family moves in, they have kids, right? Like, it's just not that hard to assume.
Yeah. I got that. So Derek and Maria, what they did was they went to the woods and said, hey, this is what happened. And the Woods had told them that never happened to us in the almost 30 years of owning the house, except when it did right before the Broadest family moved in. They were like, we just threw it away. It's a prank, whatever. They still went to the police, though. The Broadest family was like, I think it's more than that. This is weird. New house. But for me, it's like the neighborhood is safe. Maria, the mom, grew up in the neighborhood. It's, this house they purchased for $1.3 million, which we'll get to all the pricing. We'll get to the whole history of the family once we get into the suspects, kind of a spoiler alert. But they went to the police anyways, which that's fine. I have no problem with that. Even though I'm hearing what you're saying, I think I probably wouldn't go to the police, but I don't blame them. They have kids. They have 3 kids.
Right. And I agree to that. Like what they did is probably the best method. Like it's one of those ideas to better be safe than sorry, right? Like
exactly.
I got this. I'm not sure what's going on. They did mention blood and kids in this letter. I should probably just at least document this to the police. Like that's probably a good call.
Yes. So that's what they did. And police basically, they looked into it, literally no evidence at all, but they did say, do not tell anyone about these letters, your neighbors or anything, because if there are more, they're going to become suspects. So just keep it hush hush. So that's exactly what they did. And I'll tell you what, they didn't need to do it very long because the second letter came 2 weeks later. And
exactly 2 weeks.
Exactly. Well, let's see here. I got the date written down in my notes, June 28th. So it was 15 days after. Here we go. Letter number 2. And I quote, welcome again to your new home at 657 Boulevard. The workers have been busy, and I have been watching you unload carfuls of your personal belongings. The dumpster is a nice touch. Have they found what is in the walls yet? In time, they will. 657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement? Or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Will they sleep in the attic? Or will you all sleep on the second floor? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in which bedroom. Then I can plan better. All of the windows and doors in 657 Boulevard allow me to watch you and track you as you move throughout the house. Who am I? I am the Watcher, and I've been in control of 657 Boulevard for the better part of 2 decades. Note that, by the way. The Woods family turned it over to you. It was their time to move on and kindly sold it when I asked them to. I pass by many times a day. 657 Boulevard is my job, my life, my obsession. And now you are too, Broadest family. Welcome to the product of your greed. Greed is what brought the past 3 families to 657 Boulevard, and now it has brought you to me. Have a happy moving in day. You know I will be watching.
Smug dick. More than that, again, you've got now a second letter pretty much rehashing the same thing. Nothing about that was specific, even down to the bedroom's facing the street. Again, these are generalizations you can get from looking at the outside of the building. You're not giving me anything to say that, if you're in the second floor and they're playing in the basement, you can't. Of course you can't hear. It's the second floor. It's a basement. That's just how houses work. Like that's
right.
Not anything new. So again, you've got nothing in these letters that again adds to me saying that this is like specifically somebody knows about this house. Reading letter 1 and letter 2, and then let's highlight the greed portion of. If this Watcher knew anything about the house, they would know that greed was not an issue because the house was purchased for what? $1. So greed's not driving that. Keeping it in the family for the first bit was, and then however much it sold to the Woods family for.
$370,000 is what the Woods family bought it for in 1990. And again, you got to remember, Westfield is not. I don't think I mentioned this. Westfield is not a cheap city to live in.
Right.
If you live in Westfield, it's bougie, if you will. You got a lot of clout if you live there, especially on Boulevard. This street is, if you live in Westfield and you live on Boulevard, like you're somebody. So I will mention that.
That's exactly it. So it goes back to me. This literally sounds like somebody pissed off that they couldn't get the house. Like, this sounds like somebody who's trying to scare this family out so they can then in turn purchase the house. Like, maybe their family through generations has wanted this house and just never been able to financially, purchase it or whatever. So it sounds like to me what you're doing at this point is using kids to try to spook these people out of there. Because, I mean, what's the one thing that really can kind of dislodge a human being when kids are involved, right? Like, for me, if my kids are involved, I always say that my kids are my greatest strength and my greatest weakness, because if anything were to happen to them, I could be bent and broken because of my love for my children. So I get the idea of using the kids and using the term young blood specifically, because it's a taunting thing and it's morbid. But again, okay, the dumpster's a nice touch. The dumpster was outside. Right? Like, the dumpster's outside.
The construction workers.
Yeah, outside. I see you moving in, belongings. What do you do when you move? I don't know about you, but I move in truckloads of belongings because that's what you do when you move in somewhere. Again, nothing about these letters is bringing to me as anything specific, so I don't think there's an immediate threat if I'm getting these letters, right? I'm not thinking that I'm thinking that somebody's paying attention, at this point, because I've gotten 2 now. So somebody's paying attention a little bit more than I'm comfortable with. However, they have no intel to tell me that they're inside or a direct harm to my family inside these walls. Now, I will say, this is twice I've mentioned, have you found what's in the walls? I'm going to poke a hole in a wall just for my own curiosity at this point. Okay, he's mentioned the walls twice. I'm going to take a little bit of a look in there. You know what I mean? I'm going to put a little pinhole camera in there and kind of do and look around just to see if there's any validity behind these things that he's saying. But more than anything, I'm walking away saying, okay, I've already talked to the police once. I'm going to document there's letter 2 now. But I'm also going to keep going and thinking this is somebody who's just pissed off they didn't get the house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love that because, after we read all the letters, that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about what, like, the motivation, who the person could be, the suspects, who the actual suspects that they had in the case. So hearing you say that is really interesting to me because I know who the suspects are. And it's going to be a very interesting conversation once we get there. So this happened. And again, as you saw in the letter, something that I have not mentioned, they were doing renovations right away. Here's the thing, though. I'll just say it right now. This family, the Broadest family, had never officially moved in. They never officially lived in this house. So, but they were doing renovations this whole time. And we'll get to that later. But I want to move on to the third letter. This was August 8th. And at this point, too, Derek, the father's a little spooked. So, he starts to, after the second letter, he starts to sit out on his porch all night, crouch down behind some of his exterior walls to try to find, any evidence. He did place some security cameras as well. And I'm going to tell you right now. I bet money there's going to be referenced somewhere in the next 2 letters. I bet you money because they're outside facing, and I bet you money at some point they'll be referenced in letters because whatever this person's doing, the vantage point they have is directly outside. So they're going to be able to pick up on any of this stuff. So the smart call would have been, and again, this is just my background kicking in, I would have put indoor cameras facing out. Ooh, so that way, because at this point, again, my mindset is, if somebody is watching my home, they're watching it from the outside, not from the inside, right? Right, correct.
And that's where the immediate threat comes in, right? Is this a threat? Yes, this is a threat, but it's not what they consider an immediate threat, which is, okay, something bad is imminent, right? Something bad to my family is imminent.
Yeah.
So I'm going to place the cameras inside looking out to see if I can see somebody crossing my path or if I can see somebody that's peeping through a window or whatever have you. Doing counter intel and counter surveillance. I'm really huge on things like that. And it's not the average Joe that would be running, counter surveillance.
Yeah.
But I would be finding ways to be able to do that because, well, I'm paranoid most of the time. So there's that. But again, I'm not looking at this as an immediate threat. I'm looking at this because I want to find this person that's playing these games. And I mean, sorry to listeners, but I'm going to find this person. I'm going to whoop that ass.
Yeah.
I'm going to whoop that ass. Because now you're, this is 2 letters in. Now you're just starting to make me mad.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is only 2 letters. So, man, you're gonna hate the next letter. You're gonna hate it. Okay. So I was saying between letter 1 and 2, I told you guys what happened and the actions that the family took. So between letter 2 and 3, with the cameras, security, and everything that Derek, the father, was doing, happened. But the main thing that happened between letter 2 and 3 was the delay of moving in. This happened August 8th, so this was a little more than a month after letter 2.
Can I ask you a question before you jump forward?
Absolutely.
And I apologize for cutting in on you. Did we go to the police with letter 2? Do we know? Do we know that did they went and document the fact they got letter 2 with the police, and what did the police have to say about it?
Yep. Police, same thing. Don't tell anybody. And police were a little more active now. Now they got 2 letters, and you and I talk about if something happens one time, it is what it is. But if it happens twice and 3 times, consistency. That's
okay. So do we have increased patrols at this point? Do we have do we know what the police are doing to make them feel a little bit safer?
Yes, the police were doing exactly that. They were patrolling Boulevard, and then they were patrolling the neighborhood. Not only that, there were maps that were being drawn of 657 Boulevard and the houses near them as well. And we'll get into this family more, but the house next door was owned by the Langford family. And the parents were in their 90s. Well, actually, the mother was. The father passed away in 2002, and that's a big note as well. So the kids that lived in that house were in their 50s and 60s. And then the house next door to them were owned by the Schmitz. And again, we're going to get to the families. We're going to get to the neighbors and all that. But going back to your question, yeah, police had more patrol. They did map out things. They mapped out everything surrounding of how to visualize in the letters, what said in the letters. Okay, so if they said stuff about the construction and bringing in personal belongings, where would they be to view that? Well, they can't be on one side of the house. They can't be on one side of the house and see the personal belongings move in. So they have to be, in an area to see it.
Not exactly though, because you can be looking at the front. You can be looking at the front door. I don't know about you, but when you move into a place, when you move
in the backyard. Go ahead.
Well, you're not moving stuff into the backyard. I don't know about you, but maybe a couch, right? They can't fit through the front door. When you move into a place, move into the garage or move into the front door. So right there, I've got my vantage point. I know exactly at this point, this dumpsters where they sit at, probably out in the front, right by the garage. So I know because of these key elements and what they've, who has and this is a big one that I should have brought up earlier. What kids have the windows facing the street? Now you just told me your fucking vantage point. Now you just told me where you're looking from. You're looking at this. You're looking at this place head on, right? You're looking front on. So either you live at a place where you've got a vantage point front on, or when you pass by or walk by, that's the vantage point you have. Because you've just given yourself away in these first 2 letters with what you see. And this is a big piece of investigation, right? You have to look past the petty in the words, which is the young blood and the trying to mess with your mind about your kids and all that stuff. Because in everything, whether it was the letters from Zodiac or BTK or whomever, there's always pieces going.
Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper.
You got to mention that.
There's always pieces that kind of give away vantage points or POV moments or whatever have you for these particular people that are trying to be scummy.
Yeah. Love it. Okay.
But I did want to add one more thing.
Yep.
I'm going to bet money right now that I'm hitting somewhere where hot. Because if they don't mention a increased police presence in this next 2 letters, I know damn well this is a person that doesn't live by them.
That does not, or that does?
Does not. Because if this Watcher was as watchy, if you're going to call yourself the Watcher, I'm expecting specifics. I'm expecting on the line, exactly what's up, right? And if you're not going to mention an escalated police presence, either there was no escalated police presence, or you don't live close enough to know that the neighborhood had an escalation as far as patrols go.
Or maybe they just don't mention it.
But if you're the Watcher and you're bringing up where the fucking dumpster sits, why would you not, for the love of God, mention, you must have went to the police because there's
mind games.
I'm sorry. No, that's a mind game. A mind game is if I write you letter 3 and I say, you must have went to the police. There's there's more constant patrols to the neighborhood. So you're going to the police now? That's a mind game. That's a specific taunt.
Yeah.
Again, the one thing these letters are lacking is anything specific. It's all generalization. Yeah. None of it that hits a nail on the head.
Okay. So let's move on to letter 3. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's short. So letter 3, August 8th. This is a month and a half after letter number 2. The Watcher writes, and I quote, "Where have you gone to? 657 Boulevard is missing you." End quote.
Yeah, that just proves my point. I thought you were the Watcher. I thought you were watching. I thought you would know.
Right.
Why wouldn't you
Clearly
say, You haven't moved in. You don't know if I moved in or I moved out. You don't know if I'm delaying my move because of your letters. You don't know about the police presence that's happening. Where have you gone? Really, that's the best you got? After all the shit you've talked in letter 1 and 2 about my kids, about my dumpster, I'm really upset about this dumpster quote. Like, I don't know why.
I know you are. Good God.
The fact that the dumpster was a nice touch. Where do you put your garbage, bro? Where do you put your garbage?
He did say nice touch. Or she.
They, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't. The dumpster was a nice touch. Because I throw my garbage in the street. Like, because it's...
Yeah. I don't know. And
Where have you gone?
You know what's funny? Yeah, you know what's funny is like everything you're saying and what's bothering you is going to lead to like who the suspect is. You know, so let's continue this because I do want to get to that part of the show where we talk about the suspects because that's going to really dig into the background of a lot of this story. Okay, so letter 3, where have you gone? 657 Boulevard is missing you. Okay, and in my thoughts about that is exactly that. I'm just like, see, if I would have got this letter, that's when I probably would have been. Maybe that was the point. I would have been more aggressive because that would have pissed me off. Really, 2 sentences, very very broad. After those first 2 letters, like I would have went outside and probably have like yelled and been like, where the fuck are you? Like, where are you?
Why do you care? You know where my dumpster is. Why don't you know where I'm at?
Bring it, dude. Bring it. This would be me stepping out of the house and just being that dad, the protector of my wife and 3 children, and just being like, bring it on. You know what I mean? But maybe that was it. Maybe that was the point of this letter. I'm not sure. So between letter 3, and letter 4, a couple years went by. So what happened was the delay of moving in, but they did keep on construction work to the house for another like half year, right? But why? They weren't going to move in. They were terrified because these letters. They didn't feel safe. They still had a house in Westfield, so you know they were living there.
Is the dumpster okay at this point?
The dumpster, I don't know. There's no police reports of the dumpster, you know. We'll see. But I can't believe it's bothering you so much. It's hilarious. The Dumpster Brothers. No, Jody, don't put that in. Okay, so what happened? So let's lead up. So now we are summer of 2014. The 4th letter came February of 2017. In between there, a couple things happened for this story. So summer 2014, 6 months later, then they're like, okay, we're going to put this up for sale. So they put it up for sale in February, Marchish of 2015. And they put it for sale for $100,000 more because of the renovation. So in my eyes, that's why they kept renovating, because they're like, well, let's just do this. If we don't even move in, we want to resell it. We can at least sell it for more. But guess what? The story caught wind. Everyone in the town found out that the Watcher was sending letters to this home. This house could not sell. People saw this story and were petrified. So that 1.4 million from when they bought it for 1.3 went back down to 1.3, and then it went down to 1.2, and basically every month they couldn't sell it. So what ended up happening was, and this is story time. So do you have something important to say? Because I want to get through this.
Yes, I do. I really have one really, really important question that I don't think has been touched. Who leaked it?
It was the press.
Yeah, but somebody in the press has to hear about it.
I don't know what. I don't know which.
What I'm asking you is, was there any record that the family leaked it?
Well, I don't know because
it sounds like this Watcher guy, who's kind of a dick, probably went to the press with his own garbage to try to give it some more extra bounce.
I feel like, and I might have read this, and if any of you guys know this answer, please comment. I feel like the family or the Woods family who sold the Broadus family the house probably had loose lips. And who's to say the Broadus family's like, you know, we're selling the house. This is the reason why. And whoever they told so-and-so, told Susie, who knew what's her name from the Westfield Star or whatever, newspaper.
Let's be
That's
real.
Probably what happened. I don't think it's a big deal.
Let's be real on 2 counts. 1, loose lips leave satisfied hips. I want that to be known. 2,
I love that. Put it on a shirt.
2, yes, exactly. 2, that is a big piece, because if it wasn't the family who leaked it, then you're gonna, again, this is, if I'm investigating this as you know, in uniform trying to figure out who's sending these letters. If the family didn't leak this, whoever did is my prime suspect. Whoever leaked this information is my prime suspect, because now you have something that the police told the family, lock it up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm going to assume the family locked it up because they don't want to lose money, right? They don't want to not be able to recoup their losses on this house. So I'm going to assume that they didn't because, again, money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that the watcher, or whoever this guy is, woman is, dumpster loving aficionado, whoever they are is. But what it comes down to me is that, in my opinion, that's the person who released it, because anybody in these scenarios that's trying to be overly active and, you know, be this kind of villain, they all buy into their own crap. They all buy into their own story. They all go to the press. They all try to be Zodiac. They all try to do that type of thing to try to put more stock into what they're doing. And if this person is smart and they want the house, well, I'm going to go to the press. It's going to lower the price of the house. So when I buy it, I don't have to buy it for the $1.4 million. Because I've already mentioned greed being a thing, right? So clearly,
they mentioned it in the first letter.
Yeah, I have no
yeah.
money. Like, they have money, so it's going to lower the price and be able to get the house. So what it seems like to me is this is a really, really messed up, elaborate plan to get a house on a discount price. Like, that's just what this seems like to me.
You know what? I love that view. But unfortunately, I am going to say I do believe it was the Woods, Andrea Woods. I think she was the one who leaked it. I believe so. But
do you have evidence to support your claim?
I don't know. We could probably Google it right now and find out. But it doesn't matter, because what you just said, if that's true, mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. So I'm going to move forward. I love that, by the way. But I'm moving forward. So couldn't sell the house. So June 2015, the Broadus family decides to, guess what? Sue the Woods family. And I think this is, again, why the Woods leaked it. And they're like, okay, no, screw you. You didn't tell us about the letter that you guys got before we moved in, or before we purchased the house. Obviously, that didn't go through. That was thrown away. Fast forward to January 2016, there was a countersue for defamation. That got thrown away. So they started kind of butting heads. And again, I do think the Woods leaked it. It's probably what happened, because it's like, well, you leaked that, and now we're having to lose money on our house that we had a dream of buying ever since my wife was a child. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of grossness to that.
But what's the motive? What's the motive? What's the motive for the Woods? Like, what would give them at any point? Like, did they want the house? Did they love the house? Did they need the house? Was the son, really, really good with dumpsters? Like, I don't understand what the motive of the Woods would be. I don't either. To leak it. I just don't.
And again, maybe you don't have to have a motive to leak stuff. Again, maybe, like I said, you're just talking to a neighbor. Dude, these people live there for 30 years.
Think what you said. You don't have to have a motive to leak it, right? Yeah, you do. There's a motive for everything we do in life. Every choice we make, right? There's a motive behind it. Whether it be getting up in the morning for you to go to the gym, right? Like, there's a motive behind it. You want to look absolutely sexy Greek god status, which you have achieved and you are just amazing at.
It's for my mental health.
Yeah, exactly. I get up every day. Sure. Yeah, I get up every day and I just look this good because I know the world needs that type of presence in their lives. There's a motive.
Imagine if you were motivated and tried to go to the gym. That'd be amazing.
No, I'm good, bro. We don't need that much sexiness in the world.
Wait, no, but here's the thing, dude. I'm disturbed by how much you're looking into. People talk about other people, especially people who don't have a lot going on in their lives. But I truly think the Woods, let me finish, dude. Let me finish. I truly think that the Woods family were just talking to whatever neighbors that are in the neighborhood. They live there forever. And were just like, oh, by the way, they can't sell it because they've been getting these letters. I don't think there's motive of like, oh, I'm going to do this because I want this to happen, I want the house, I want this. I literally just they were bored, probably sipping on some wine, and were like, oh, by the way, did you know that this was happening with the Broadus family and they can't move in because of this and that? Okay. I really don't think it's that deep. That's just my opinion.
I'm going to pull a Kanye and let you finish in a minute. With that being said, that's a lot of
your
work.
Comedic timing is so good.
That's a lot of work for a 90-year-old couple, right?
They're not 90. You're mixing people.
Well, the Woods. These are the Woods kids. The 60-year-olds.
The Woods are Andrea and John. They were the ones who owned the house.
Yeah. So here's my thing. So they kind of sued for defamation. So what I'm going to assume at this point is it was leaked in the court documents when they first sued them. That's how I'm going to assume this got leaked. Right. I'm going to put on my thinking cap. So the family that currently owns it sues the Woods because of the letters.
June 2015.
I'm going to assume that's where it leaks. Okay,
Yes.
that's where it leaks.
Okay, copy.
It leaks with the court documents. That's what we're going to go with, right?
Well,
so
the fact is, though, they were losing money right before. So the reason why they sued is because they kept losing money, knowing that they, what I said, 1.4 mil to 1.3 to 1.2. So that actually was happening February, March, April of 2015, May, and then June 15 is when they sued. So what you just said actually isn't accurate, although I wish it was.
What is the reason for the suit?
Because they were saying that because of these letters and that you did not disclose, y'all got a letter a day before we signed the paperwork.
Okay, I want you.
You can't win that, right?
I want you to replay that in your head. I want you to replay that in your head one more time. The reason for suing them was what?
The letters.
Because of the letters, right? So at that point, what does that prove? If you're going to, first off, when you sue somebody, you go through the legal system. What does that do? That opens it up to everything public. Everything in there is public record. Okay, so if the reason was the letters, you now have public record that these letters exist. Okay, so at that point, it shows me that that leak that you just said was so unlawfully incorrect has a lot more merit on the fact that some news reporter or newspaper journalist, which we used to have back in the days, these things called newspapers, you'd actually look at a physical, thing, a piece of paper. It shows me that somebody probably saw that in this public record and went, light bulb, that's a story right there. That's a story. So I don't think it's so much as not accurate or somehow, some way not on the realm of how that could have leaked. To me, it seems like a pretty good reason as to where these letters leaked from. And then when those letters leaked, in my opinion, if I'm that person, if I'm, the Woods family now getting sued for that, you're damn right I'm going to sue for counter.
Right. January 2016. Yeah. So about 7-8 months after the Broadest family sued. Okay.
Right.
So let's move forward. Okay. We've discussed enough about all of that, which really, really good points and makes me look at things differently as well. And hopefully you. So again, putting the house up for sale didn't sell. So let's fast forward a year later, February 2017. Renovations are done. They still have not moved into the house. They're not living in the house. There's no letters. Now it's February 2017. We have not gotten a letter from the Watcher since summer of 2014. That's 2.5 years. Okay.
Really bad Watcher. Like he's not doing a great job watching.
He's not doing a great job. You ready? Now, you know what's funny, everyone? You thought everything was exciting. Now it gets exciting. Okay.
Oh, God.
Letter number 4. So before I read this letter, the Broadest family was renting the house out to a family that had 2 big dogs. They had adult kids, and so on and so forth. And in the clause it said, hey, if you get any letters from the Watcher, you can pull out. Guess what happened, brother? 2 weeks later, they get a fucking letter from the Watcher. And here's what it said. You're going to love this. And I quote, to the vile and spiteful Derek and his wench of a wife, Maria. You wonder who the Watcher is? Turn around, idiots, the letter read. Maybe you even spoke to me, one of the so-called neighbors who has no idea who the Watcher could be. Or maybe you do know and are too scared to tell anyone. Good move. 657 Boulevard survived your attempted assault and stood strong in its army of supporters barricading its gates. My soldiers of the Boulevard followed my orders to a T. They carried out their mission and saved the soul of 657 Boulevard with my orders. All hail the Watcher. Maybe a car accident, maybe a fire, maybe something as simple as mild illness that never seems to go away but makes you feel sick day after day after day after day after day. Maybe the mysterious death of a pet. Loved ones suddenly die. Planes and cars and bicycles crash. Bones break. You are despised by the house, and the Watcher won. End quote.
First off, damn you, it's the Woods.
You think so?
Yeah, that's personal.
Are you serious?
That's somebody who's been that's somebody who countersues. That's somebody who's been sued. That's somebody who's spiteful and vengeful. That's somebody who's been directly involved in this whole thing this whole time. It's the Woods, guaranteed.
Even letter one.
Yeah, it's the Woods.
Oh my god, dude! I never even thought of the Woods.
So that's just my opinion. Granted,
okay, no, I love it. I love it.
I'll get into more why here in a second.
Yeah,
but
and I have a fact. But real quick, I have a fact that I forgot to tell you. Let me tell you this fact real quick, and everybody this fact real quick. So remember we were talking about between the letters, 2.5 years, and how they were trying to sell the house. The one thing that they did that actually was mentioned in that letter was the Broadus family wanted to tear down the house and build 2 houses, but it got turned down because the measurements weren't to regulation by 3 inches. And Facebook found out, all the Facebook groups of the area and the neighborhood found out that this is what the Broadus family wanted to do, and were against it and against it and against it. So there was a 4-hour meeting. It got turned down. And I think that is one of the things in this letter 4 that we won. The people, my soldiers, follow me to a T. So I wanted to make that make sense to the audience and to you as well.
It makes sense as to why the Woods never reported or said what their letter said, probably because they wrote it and they were the ones that were trying to be like, hey, we got one too. We got one too. It wasn't us. We got a letter right before. More than that, you just bought this house from us that's been kind of handed down from family to family and close-knit person to close-knit person, and now you want to tear it down and destroy it. That shows personal. I mean, that's motive. That's motive to be the Watcher right there. That's 100% motive to scare them, to get them to sell and get them the hell out of the area. Damn you! It's like, to me, it's very clear that it's the Woods. And you said the Woods sat where? You said the Woods sat where, as far as in correlation with the house? Where do they live, next door?
No. The Woods were the Woods.
I know,
were the people.
Where did they move to? Do we know?
No,
stay in the area.
I would assume. I didn't find any information on where they ended up moving to. Okay, I'm going to assume very close.
But you would also
assume they went smaller.
Yeah, but you'd also
their kids were grown up, so they were smaller.
You'd also know vague details of the house. You'd also be able to say, street side, this, that stuff. You'd know where the house was. You'd drive by. You'd be able to see the dumpster. God, that dumpster, I'm really concerned about. Anyway, I got to stop. Like, that's just the thing.
I never thought of the dumpster until tonight, which, by the way, as you can tell, I haven't read these letters a whole lot. Right. Like, I really haven't. So, because I wanted to come in a little fresh as well. I have read them, but not like I didn't study them. If that's
to me, this is very the whole we won, you lost, that type of thing. I mean, I'd be saying that too if your suit on me fell through, and then my counter defamation suit lost, so I'm going to be a little bit pissy about that too.
Yeah,
this has personal animosity written all over it. I think at this point, I'm right to assume that, again, there's this Watcher's being smart. There's no specifics in it. The threats are very vague. There's no actual, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to hurt this person. I'm going to do this. They're all very pets die, bones break, airplanes collide with bicycles, or whatever the hell it said, which would be awesome to see an airplane collide with a bicycle. That would be fantastic. That's top 5 list of stuff I want to see on YouTube.
That's Final Destination shit right there.
Oh, hands down. But more than that, man, I'm looking at this and just being like, this is literally a pissing match over who owns this house. I think that has been kind of where I've led with this whole time. Yeah. And I'm pretty confident now at this point, now that everything's wrapping up, they're getting ready to sell the house. They've just rented out they've subleased to somebody else. Yeah. And now 2.5 years later, we get something from the Watcher saying, I won, all hail the Watcher. Watcher, you are way too full of yourself. If you're watching this, Watcher, I'm going to find you and I'm going to steal your dumpster. That's just going to happen.
Yeah, and then shove you in it.
No, I don't even want to touch. That's gross. No, I just want their dumpster to know.
That's why I said I would do that.
I want to know the dumpster's safe at this point, Matthew.
Okay, all right. I just picture a green dumpster. Okay,
I kind of do too. I kind of do really? The black plastic floppy lids. Yeah,
yeah.
That's kind of the thing.
Smells like wood.
Yeah,
and sawdust. Yeah. And piss. Okay, so real quick. So I love the fact that you've already said who you think it is. And let me be clear before I read you, we're moving on to the suspects. And I think this is going to open your mind a little bit more to possibilities of other people. But I'm just going to say it clearly with what you said. You've actually made me look at this differently too, after all the research I've done. So you think that it's the Woods. And the Woods family is Andrea and John, who owned the house from 1990 to 2014 and sold it to the Broadus family, who ended up getting the letters from the Watcher. Mm-hmm. That's who you think it is. Copy that. I love that, by the way. So, the suspects, the theories. Here we are. I'm going to start out with a couple who I believe everybody's possibility. This is unsolved, but these are kind of the maybe not. So there was a guy who lived down the street. Actually, his girlfriend did. And one night when the cops were there, during this whole, I believe this was like 2014, there was a car that stopped. Apparently had a camera. A guy had a camera in the front seat. I didn't see any proof of him taking photos of the house or anything, but it was 11 p.m. It was very suspicious. And what they found out was it was his girlfriend who lived down the street. So they interviewed, the girlfriend came in and they said, hey, this is what's going on. We want to talk to you down at the station. We saw a man, he went to your house, this and that. She's like, oh, that's my boyfriend. Apparently she said that he was into very dark video games. And one of the video games he played a character called the Watcher. Now, I read that in her being transparent, and to me, it's The Witcher. Like, I feel like he plays the game The Witcher, and she probably just didn't know what she was talking about. She probably has no idea about video games. Just like, yeah, I like to play dark video games. I see a bunch of like demon-looking things and guns and swords, and it's probably The Witcher. So I don't really take what she says. Like, I take it with a grain of salt. But then the police, reached out to him and said, hey, can you come in and talk? And he said, yeah, sure, no problem. Never showed up. Now I'm going to ask you, that's not too suspicious for me. I don't think.
Well, I mean,
he didn't have to. There's not enough evidence. It's not like they found evidence of him. It was voluntary, right?
It's still an admission of guilt. Like, it's like pleading the fifth in court, right? I will say nothing that will incriminate myself. It's an admission of guilt. Okay. So I can see why that person would skyrocket to the top. But also, if you have the Woods, who had lived there for X amount of time, probably knew this cat's girlfriend, probably knew this cat. This cat probably knew what they were up to because, I mean, they all rallied together to be able to protect this house. I wouldn't cross my mind that this person was in the know. Yeah. Again, you've got no harm, no foul really happening here. You've got no direct threats of life. You've got you've got a creepy story. Don't get me wrong. This is like, you remember the books back in the day, the creepy stories to tell at the campfire, the creepy stories
to tell in the dark. Yeah.
Tell in the dark. Mm-hmm. This fits that.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Is this like, talking about, I mean, like, you look at Jack the Ripper, who was sending letters, right? Like, that dude was sending some letters with some intent behind him, right?
Yeah. And hello.
You've got this cat.
What he did.
You've got this cat who's sending letters to just kind of run their mouths. It's like internet. It's like comment sections before comment sections really got big. You've got somebody trolling this family, essentially, is what you're doing. So to think that this cat,
even though this was within the last decade, so it's kind of on point.
I've seen worse things happen, like in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree. I totally agree.
But for me,
go ahead. And I'm going to read you some of the rest of the suspects.
For me, this suspect, I wouldn't put it past the idea that the suspect was in the know of what was happening. How about that?
Okay. Okay.
I think there was a bigger conspiracy, like a group that had a bigger conspiracy behind all this. But there was one person that enacted it, and that was the Woods.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So. And the reason I read him first, because he is one of the main suspects, right? There were 3 main suspects. It was him. Let me read you some of the lower tier ones, and then we'll get to the other 2 main suspects, which is where we're really going to get into some things. They interviewed some former housekeepers, construction guys. It's just not enough evidence. No one, everyone denied it. Just not enough there. Someone in the police theory, someone who missed out on buying the house. Somebody, like you just said, your first theory. Police had that theory as well. Not enough evidence yet, right? There was a teacher named Robert Kaplow that worked at a local high school. He apparently, some of his former students came out and said he was obsessed with a house and he would write letters to the house, right? This guy's brother was the Woods lawyer. Weird, right? But let me finish off this guy and kind of why he got brushed away. He said he gave the actual house address that he was obsessed with. The owners allowed him to write the letters. He even house sat for that house. Now, being that obsessed with a house, I think is kind of weird. Like, to put a house being a sentient being is strange, even for us. So, but I just thought it was pretty weird that his brother was his lawyer. Do you have anything to say about this guy?
Two things. You've got this first suspect who went by the game handle, the Watcher, right? So now you've got your name of the thing.
Apparently.
I'm just saying, just go with me on this, right? Just go with me and put pieces together in your head, kind of put on your little investigation hat real quick.
Okay.
So now you've got the name of whatever this thing is, right? Now you've got the author of the letters. Person's been writing letters to the house, right? Both of these people lived in and or are connected to the woods, right? So now you've got your name of what you have. You've got your author who's writing for the house. And the third one will probably be something or someone that's invested financially with the house.
Real quick, I swear, so I've read all the letters. I swear to God, which by the way, I don't know if this isn't like me going in. There was a mention, I thought it was, because I have the letters right here, but there was a mention of the Watcher seeing one of the children paint on an easel in the backyard. And that was a big deal because the backyard obviously wasn't the front. And that's when I believe, that's so weird. Okay, so I'm just not even going to mention that because I don't want to have to go look back and look through it.
Well, it's not mentioned in the letters, and that's the big piece, right? Like if what the Watcher mentions, right? The direct words from the Watcher are what is kind of golden, because this is exactly what they're talking about, what they see. So you're hearing it straight from the horse's mouth, as opposed to something that could have been assessed after the situation or something that could have been twisted or manipulated to that point. So with what the Watcher has said at this point, there's been nothing but little jabs here and there, nothing with, like, if they were like, oh, your 3-year-old son with blonde hair and blue eyes, that'd be a different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. He did go into detail.
Well, because this wasn't personal. This wasn't about trying to harm or hurt the family. This was about being pissed off that these people want to tear down this house and make a bunch of money by putting in 2 houses and probably sublet them out to other people. You're going to ruin the neighborhood, right? You're going to ruin the history, and you're going to ruin this house that people clearly, even the wife of, for some reason, people are just really obsessed with this house.
Yeah.
So,
and that's, it's weird. It's very weird. I would like to go by this house in New Jersey one day. I really would, for reasons that we will talk about later. Okay. So moving forward, these are the main 2 suspects. The Langford family, the family that lived next door with the 90-year-old mom whose kids were in their 50s and 60s. There were 3 kids. One of them was Abby, one was Sandy, and the other one was Michael. Michael was diagnosed with schizophrenia. There were rumors that he would walk around at night around people's yards and look into windows and kind of be a creeper, if you will. And he was one of the main suspects. Michael was actually called in by the police after letter number 1. They had absolutely no evidence, but everything kind of pointed like, well, it's only 1 letter. Kind of sounds like something he might write. The guy has a history of what I just said. Let's pull him in. And of course, Michael's like, no, not at all. So he kept being a suspect. He was taught his father died in 2002, like I said earlier in our show. And in the second letter, it said, I've been watching over the house for the better of 2 decades, right? So kind of matches up there. Grandfather 1920s, father 1960s, and then he took over, right? And that lines up with the Langford family living in that house.
Yeah, but it doesn't line up the history of the letters. If that was the case, for 2 decades they'd be getting letters. Why is it just this one family?
No, watching over the house.
I know, but that's the thing.
He just started writing the letters in 2014. But I see where you're going.
Yeah,
why wouldn't he wrote the letters in 2002?
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. If you've got somebody who has, a crisis point, right? So this person lost their father, and that's a trigger, right? That could have triggered this person into thinking, okay, I'm the Watcher now. I've got to do this stuff, whether it would be real or not. You're going to see an influx in the development of that character starting from 2002. It's not going to wait 12 years before that first letter sends.
Right.
And most people that go through something like that triggers them into a place where they start acting out and doing those things, you're going to see that incrementally, it's going to grow to become violence. Right. Yeah. And somebody with schizophrenia, right, diagnosed, if they follow that path and that trend, science tells you that that's going to lead to violence, period. That's just typically what happens. And this person, although he fits the pattern of a schizophrenic that's looking through windows or wandering around at night because they don't have the best perception as far as what life looks like or what you're supposed to normally do. This person has no history of violence. This person has no history of trying to scare, spook anybody. He's just trying to dial in his own head. So to me, yeah, it's a perfect patsy, right? That's your perfect patsy. Somebody with mental health issues that has a trigger event like their father passing on, lives next door. Yeah, that looks good on paper. But we both know specifically in this genre of true crime, whether it be paranormal or not paranormal, that a patsy is always somewhere in play. You always have somebody to fall back on. That way you can say, we at least knew it was this guy, right?
Yeah,
and
I agree.
That's where I see this cat. I see this cat just being a mix or a perfect storm of tragic ailments that make him look like he's a bad dude.
Yeah, he's a bad dude. And to further talk about Michael being a suspect, they did interview a lot of neighbors and a lot of people who have known him almost his whole life. Every single one of them said, "There's no way." Like they read the letters, like he wouldn't write this. There's no way, you know. And a lot of times, like when Derek was hiring like investigators, former FBI agents, all of this during those years of, you know, getting the letters and the years of trying to sell and renovating, you know, they were trying to find out who it was. So, you know, even people who read letters and who diagnose letters and, you know, the handwriting, as we've done in our experience with the Jack the Ripper letters and all. And they were saying, like, it seems like with the language and the handwriting and all, it does seem like an older person. But with what you were saying earlier and how it's not, and the way you backed up what you said, I'm actually kind of on your side, because when you first mentioned that, I was like, I don't know, because I've read the letters, I've seen it all, and I'm like, it could be. But everything you've mentioned, you've really changed my mind on who this could be. Because in my head, I'm like, the other thing about Michael Langford too, and this is the last thing about him, and then I'm gonna tell you the third suspect is he was in hospice for a while actually before he died, and he went into hospice 2018, I believe, or like right after the last letter, and there was no more letters. Then he died, and there hasn't been any since. I don't think that there's a lot of weight to that, but that is a thing.
Again, touch back to Jack the Ripper, right? Like after that last killing, there was none because he either fled or died. Like, and that's the thing. Again, you have a perfect patsy, right? You've now got somebody you can say, "Oh, we know this was the Watcher. We just can't prove it," which is something I despise. I absolutely hate when you're like, "We have the person, we just can't prove it."
Right.
No,
that's what you can say.
Yeah, what you've got is somebody who fits the mold of what you want to see a bad guy look like. Right? Yeah. You don't want to see this story be a property dispute that kind of went dumb. Right? Like that's what this is. This is House Hunters that is just ridiculous. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I would totally watch House Hunters if this is how they went about things. Yeah. But that's what this is to me, right? That's what this is. And when you have a story this big and a story that took on the life that you've told me that the story has taken on, of course it has to be bigger than, right? It has to be, there has to be more to it. But for me, all you're feeding me is people that, again, tie back to who? They tie back to the woods.
To the woods, right. Who lived next to the woods for 24 years.
That's what I'm saying.
The Langfords.
Right?
Yeah, you're totally right. Okay, so let me tell you the last suspect. Surprise, surprise. The Broadus family. It was a hoax. They did it themselves. Derek, there is a fact. So after when they wanted to tear the house down and make the two houses, he wrote to several of his neighbors anonymously, said friends of the Broadus family. That's how he labeled them. And they weren't threatening, but they were pretty, and again, I couldn't find these online either. Didn't really have to read them, but they were, you know, a little harsh. He was very mad, and he came out and said, "Look, I did write those. And I regret them. It was out of stress. It was out of PTSD. It was out of everything going on." And I will say, I know I said everyone forget about the Netflix show, but I think they did such a good job of portraying Derek's character, the father, of just like losing his mind because of what's going on.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, here's the thing, right? So you look at, okay, so he wrote letters. Okay, he wrote letters that threatened. What would you do if you were getting threatening letters?
I would do the same thing.
Yeah, it's a taste of your own medicine.
Yeah.
I don't see these people losing money and hoaxing themselves to screw themselves out of more money.
Right. It's insurance policies. Yeah. It's
but even then, TV deals. But even then, those things are all awesome, cool. Like movie and TV deals, sure, whatever. You have more of that with authenticity than you do making this stupid ass story more dumb. Okay, like
they wouldn't have a story if they didn't start writing the letters.
They also But then that backdates in one clear fact that screws that whole thing up: the woods.
Why is that?
Why are you telling me Derek wrote the woods one single letter before he moved in and started writing himself letters? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Because that makes I'm going to backdate my letter patterns so they have 1 and then I have 4. It makes no sense.
And we're going to sue them, and they're
going to counter-sue us. They're going to counter us. I'm not going to give split. Here's the thing too: if it's me and I'm the one doing it, I'm not going to put in vague details about dumpsters. Yeah. Right? I'm not doing it. I'm going to put in specific details. Okay. So, I'm not. I live in that house. I'm going to make that. And again, you talk about TV deals and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
If those letters were threatening or more specific or more just maddening, your TV deals and all that stuff would have been better.
Yep. That's there you go. That's like the first thing we've agreed on this whole time. Another thing that people were saying is, they lived in a $315,000 house, and then they moved into a $770,000 house, and then they bought this one for $1.3 million. So Derek ended up getting promoted at work. He worked for an insurance company, big insurance company, and he was senior vice president. And for me, and again, I don't have a normal 9-to-5 job. So promotions and stuff I'm a freelancer. I'm in the film and TV industry. We don't get promotions or anything like that, right? At least with what I do. That's normal, isn't it? To get promoted and buy bigger houses?
If you're good at what you do, yeah. But then again, you've got people that will take that and assume that there's some foul play because nobody wants to see somebody else succeed. So if Derek gets a promotion over Bob's going to be butthurt and might start writing letters to your new house calling you an asshole because Bob didn't get the promotion. Or you move into this new house that you just spent 1.4 on because you can afford it because you just got your promotion, and now you just pissed off the buyer that wanted to buy it for $500,000, and now they're going to write you some letters being a complete bag of D. That's the thing that I'm looking at this whole story is that this dude, from what you've told me, and mind you, it's been little compared to probably the bigger story at play here.
Oh yeah,
but he doesn't seem anything like a genuinely pissed off and concerned husband and father. That's what this dude seems like to me. So the idea of him writing letters to himself, although feasible and anything's possible in this world, compared to the woods, again, my focus is specifically on the woods. At this point, with all this information at play, I am focused solely on the woods, and I'm going to nail them dead to rights. And I'm going to do it by seeing what kind of dumpster they use.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks at home. That dumpster thing really bothered me. I know I probably talked about it a little bit too much.
That's going to be a thing. Let me add one more thing, too. They did find DNA on one of the letters, on one of the envelopes. And it was a woman's DNA.
Yeah, it was the girlfriend of the guy that played The Witcher.
Possibly. But so they tested 3. They tested Abby Langford, the neighbor. They tested Maria Brodus, and the third person was Andrea Woods. No matches.
Yeah, but they didn't test the chick whose boyfriend went by the call sign Witcher.
There was 2 females that they wanted to test who said, no, you're not testing me. Those 2 females, they're not on record. So.
Shocking.
So yeah, you see what I'm getting at, bro? Like,
this is a really bad episode of House Hunters. That's what this is. Literally what this is.
It amazes me. So the woods is you. I don't really I still don't have a definitive answer on who I think it is. I think you have made such a great, compelling point, which is again why I didn't want you to know anything about this case and just to listen to the letters and put pieces together off the information I told you. And that's exactly what you did. And it's very compelling. And I think it could be the woods. I really, before this episode, I thought Michael Langford was probably my number one thought. He was the neighbor. He didn't have a job. He didn't work. He had schizophrenia. The way he wrote, he misspelled a lot of things. He misspelled their last name. But it's just, you're right. That's too easy. So for me, there's a reason it's unsolved.
There's a big thing to be said too, that it's not, it's the brainchild of the woods, but there might've been more people involved.
Yeah,
Michael Langford could have been involved. Video game guy could have been involved.
Yeah,
the dumpster company could have been involved. Like it,
that's actually true.
There's plenty of people that could have been involved in this.
Yeah.
However, I think that your brainchild, the person that brought this to the light, that manifested the idea, if you will, is going to be the woods.
Yeah. That's incredible. And you know what's funny? Before the Woods bought the house, the family that lived in it from 1963 to 1990, 0 letters.
Shocking.
First family who got the letters was who? It
The
wasn't
Woods.
the Broaduses, it was the Woods.
And
Okay.
that was too. And what I would like to find out, and please comment down below if anybody knows this. It's going to be a really weird ask, but please comment if you do. Who sold the rights? Was it the Broadus family or was it the Woods? Who's the one that brought this story to light? That would be something that I would really like to know, because that would kind of narrow down what we're looking at.
It was the Broadus family. I can answer that for you. It was the Broadus family. Okay, so and Netflix won it. By the way, it was a six people were bidding for the rights, and Netflix won. Okay, so Matt, what happened to the house? What's going on with it now? Well, guess what? The Broadus family finally sold the damn house in 2019. For guess how much? I want you to guess how much. They bought it for 1.3. They wanted to sell it for 1.4 for the renovations. Guess how much they ended up selling it for?
And the story's already broke at this point. About
Story's broke.
2.5.
No, it went down. The Netflix show wasn't on or anything. That house wasn't quite famous yet.
Okay, so
it's still creepy. This house got letters that were kind of threatening, to an average person who doesn't have a mind like we do. I mean, it's terrifying, right?
$750K.
959,000. Good guess though. 959. So they did end up losing about $400,000, but they did lose $400,000 and saved their peace of mind, in my opinion. And to be honest with you, and the way we look at it is the way we look at it. But as a person from the outside looking at the Broadus family and the PTSD and all the stress that they had to go through handling this and hiding their kids away from it and all of that, it led to the Netflix show, which again, I said throw out, but this is a fact. They didn't want anything to do with the Netflix show. They said, do not make the actors and actresses look like us. Do not use our names. Do not use, they kind of changed the look of the house in the show as well. So it's not like the Broadus family was like, oh my God, we're going to go make noise. They were just you can have it, but keep us out of it. Because I really do think that they're still kind of terrified that this Watcher person, I don't think they think it's somebody that's not threatening.
So you're telling me that this isn't the Lutz family from Amityville?
That is so funny you mentioned that, because
this is people that actually are saying normal human beings, not the Lutz family. Got it?
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Okay, so that's what happened. Guess what time we're at?
Oh man, is it that time already?
It is.
No, it's not. Is it?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you right now.
What do you mean already? We've been talking for like 9 hours.
Well, a good conversation. You know what I'm saying? A good conversation.
Let's throw some of it in the dumpster, though.
I know, right? Let's close the lid on that dumpster and let's get to last call, my man. Let's close that dumpster up. Let's put it to the side. It's a nice touch, and let's go to last call. All right, my friend. So last call here at the Unkindness Brothers. It leads me to one question for you, actually, specifically. It was mentioned in those letters a couple times, something in the walls, something, being fed and all that type of stuff. Do you think that there was something, or possibly could have been something supernatural to do with this house?
Dude, I love the fact that you're asking me if there was something supernatural.
Well, when he says that, the house need to be fed by young blood, or, have you found what's in the walls? It leads one to think at some point that this person was trying to either A, believe, or B, influence that there was something supernatural about this home. Plus, you add on top of it the obsession of this house.
Yes.
And multiple people in the story have an obsession with this house. Yeah. So it leads me to believe, to have to ask you, my clairsentient friend, you've heard my research background. You've heard my law enforcement background. Now it's time to go to the clairsentient background and say, what the hell was up with this house, Matt? Was this house haunted in your opinion?
Absolutely. Clairsentient, psychic empath, if you will. Somebody like Caliph actually mentioned earlier, it's like a psychic going into a haunted house and not knowing the story and getting the feel. That's what I do, guys. That's what I do. And reading this story, and, I watched a Netflix series, but it was a couple years ago. It just, the vibe of it. And what word did I use at the beginning of this show? It's a very haunting story. But it's funny you asked that, because not only do I think it's haunted, I have some things to back that up. And these things have happened within the last couple years. So Andrew and Allison Carr is who owns the house now. They were the ones who bought it in 2019. And again, this house is now super famous. There's a lot of police calls, like almost 100 a year, because it's so famous. But there were a couple things that happened before the show came out, before this house was truly famous. And I have them written down right here. October 2019. They have a burglary alarm in the basement. It went off in the middle of the night. Okay, that happens. But then it happened again 6 months later. Both times the police went and were like, "There's absolutely nothing here." They brought in somebody to obviously look at the alarm, and they're like, "There's nothing wrong with your alarm. There's no reason." Yeah,
Is it motion based?
I didn't read that much into it. I did not read that much into it. But so that happened 2 times. And then December 10th, 2021, this was a year before the Netflix series came out, the carbon monoxide alarm went off again and again and again. Not repetitive. And police, again, went and was like, there's no reason for this. Same thing. Alarm guy went in. There's no reason for this. And you and I know, as paranormal investigators, that some of the most manipulative things that spirits can use are electronics, especially alarms. Because what does an alarm do to a human being when it goes off?
Alarms them.
Alarms them. What do? They freak out. That energy that people expose when a fire alarm or burglary alarm goes off it's like, think of an energy vampire. They eat off that, and that's where spirits get their energy from, and they can manifest. And I truly think whatever's in this house meant to do that to this new family. Oh, guess what? The Watcher's over. The house is famous now. There's all these people. Cops are around all the time. All these people taking photos outside. Whatever spirits are in there, and when I say spirits, I think that there's some sort of portal in this house. I don't know where what's your theory?
And this is where things get really spooky from Chris here, right? Caleb is going to bring out his veteran ghost hunting stuff. You guys ready for this? This is going to be mind-blowing and mind-shattering and just insane. Or they have a faulty alarm system.
Yeah, but that's what's crazy. It's never happened before. None of that ever happened.
But then it does happen, right? Nothing happens before it happens. And then it happens. Just because it didn't happen before doesn't mean it wasn't destined to fail anyway. Look at the Titanic, right? I don't know what it's supposed to sink.
God,
but
you and the Titanic. Guys, wait, before you talk about Titanic, this dude is like weirdly obsessed with it. I
love that boat.
Wait a minute. People are obsessed with this house. You're obsessed with Titanic. I do think that, but in all seriousness, that was just like some evidence that has happened recently of like, okay, this is kind of weird things that happened. And the police have, like, no one has any answers. It's just like, okay, this is weird. It's not normal. And then another thing that happened was there was, I guess, a 5 a.m. call to 9. It was a medical 911 call from the house, and EMS showed up, and I quote, "It was unclear why there was a phone call. No one admitted to calling." It's weird.
Yeah, so that would be something that I'd backdate the call on, because every 911 call is recorded.
Yeah,
and then I would see who.
What if it was an EVP? What if it was a ghost voice? No, listen, I really do think...
Bro, you're right. You're right in the fact that energy charges an environment. You're 100% right in that fact, because there's two things that fuel any paranormal investigation, okay? Two. And this story was full and chock full of those two things.
Yep.
Fear and belief.
Yep.
Those are the two big things that fuel anything paranormal related. And again, the story had a lot. However, to me, in my last call opinion on this, I think everybody wanted this to be more than it was. I think everybody wanted this to be bigger than it was. I think everybody wanted this to have more moving parts than it had. You're looking at a moped versus a Harley, right? Like, this was a moped. It wasn't a Harley.
Wow. Interesting. But it was painted like a Harley. I like that. I think another theory too, and then we're going to wrap it up. If the Watcher is no longer living and activities started happening in the last couple of years, who's to say the Watcher doesn't haunt the house?
I mean, it's possible.
I would, as a paranormal investigator and having my best friend as my partner, I would go to New Jersey and I would go to the house and I would bring our equipment. I do believe that we would capture some sort of insane evidence. I said it might be a portal. It could be the Watcher haunting it now, but there is something there that makes people obsessed. You and I know when we have gone to haunted locations, some of them we are like, we want to go back. We're kind of obsessed with them. It's that energy that was in that house. And it's just unexplainable.
I would, check on that dumpster. I would check on it. And I would pat it on its lid and say, "I'm sorry for what you went through."
He said, "Nice touch."
Yeah.
Yep.
A little bit too touchy.
Yep.
Kind of like Dodgers fans, pushy. Anyway,
okay.
But number two, I would love to hunt this place, because I would literally go up to the woods and be like, Clever.
You made a haunted house. You made a haunted house in a haunted story. Guys, Caliph, whew, that was great.
Great
that was
story,
really
man.
fun. Really fun story. Really fun way of looking at it and everything about it. I had a blast doing this. I learned a lot from you. And yeah, it was a great story.
Last thing I'll say about everything is you don't get old by being dumb. So until next week, my friends, go ahead and do your like and subscribe thing, Matt.
I was waiting for you to do it, bro.
Not doing it, bro.
All right, guys. Well, make sure you hit the like button. Please subscribe, obviously, and go to the comment sections. Because, again, this is an unsolved, very popular story with a lot of opinions. And I know there's a lot of facts that I left out due to time. I know that for a fact. So please write more facts in the comment sections. Let's have a conversation about it because this is such a fascinating story with so many different opinions and ways of looking at it. We shouldn't shut up about it. Maybe one day we will find out who the Watcher is. And we'll see you guys next time.